right, this is Sports for Real on location with the Jets and Jags over here. Right now it's approaching halftime. Jacksonville is up 10-7, and they're trying to hold off a Jets rally to try to tie it up before halftime. If you look around here, it's overcast and it's dreary. Kind of reminds you of New York. Only difference is it's 30 degrees warmer than what it probably is in New York right now. And it has a Jets kind of flavor out here. And the way the season has been going, it definitely has been a dreary kind of season for the Jaguars. But just come on, do a little rapping before the game starts, before the real game starts. I'm going to talk about Fango Media. If you're not familiar with Fango Media, there's a representative of each home team, and they interview fans as they come out of the stadium to get their reactions hot off the presses, if you will. By that I mean it's still all animated from coming out of the stadium, and you want to hear what it is that they have to say, and they can have some pretty interesting comments. So if you're interested in what fans have to say about their teams in the NFL across the spectrum, just go to Fango Media, look up the latest videos, and you'll find somebody in the NFL city talking to the fans. I just happen to be the one that does it here in Jacksonville, and once the game is over, I'm going to switch over from Coach Hall, and I'm going to collaborate with Fango. Then once that's over, I'm going to turn it off and we'll get back to Coach Hall, and we're going to talk about some updated stuff here. Now, last night, a culmination of a slow day in college football. You know, the FCS playoffs are in full swing. They had a couple games Friday night, and they had a couple games yesterday. Other than that, you had the Army-Navy game, and there was a bowl game between South Alabama and I believe Western Michigan. The biggest talk was for the Heisman Trophy. It's been a foregone conclusion that there were not very many candidates that were possibly going to win that trophy. It was Mr. Jeanty out of Boise State, the running back, record-setting running back they have, and you also have Travis Hunter, the two-way star out of Colorado. But it came down to those two, as expected, and in the end, Travis Hunter, the wide receiver / cornerback for Colorado, he ended up taking the trophy in a very close race. He wound up winning by 214 points, and that's the closest race they've had in several years in the Heisman Trophy. So, congratulations to Travis Hunter. A lot of people expected that, but somebody approached me last night while we were having a conversation. He mentions the fact that he didn't think that Travis Hunter deserved to win the Heisman. He felt like the running back for Boise State should have won the Heisman, and that was backed up by the fact that you had such a close vote. If Travis Hunter was the hands-down favorite to win the trophy, it would have not been a close race. RG Car 3 says, yo, how you doing, man? Talking a little bit about football, hanging out at the Jaguar Stadium, and I'm speaking now on the criticism that Travis Hunter has. The gentleman tells me that not only should Jeanty have won the championship, but not the championship, but the Heisman, but Mr. Hunter has flaws. What the F, bro? What are you talking about, man? Not only that, Mr. Hunter has flaws. He tells me that because they play a lot of zone in the big conferences, Big Ten, SEC, they're zone-heavy conferences, and a guy like Hunter can thrive well when you play a lot of zone. But when you play a lot of man like they do in the HBCUs, then Hunter starts to get exposed a little bit. So I said, well, Hunter did pretty well when he was at Jackson State. And he said, on the contrary, you might want to take a closer look at that. He said that when they played in the Celebration Bowl, he was getting torched. And indeed, if you go back and look at that tape, I think it was North Carolina Central or Winston-Salem. I can't remember who they played that day. But they actually moved the ball pretty well against Jackson State. And I'm going to go back and look at it again and see how Travis Hunter fared. He did well on the offensive end. I know he scored a touchdown. But as far as the man-to-man coverage, I want to go back and take a closer examination of that. Me, I try to defend Hunter. I'm trying to say what everybody else is saying. This guy's playing a lot of plays. He's doing a lot of things that somebody hadn't done in years, if ever. And he's deserving of the accolades that he gets. But he thinks he's going to be able to do that in the NFL. And I even seen the guys on the pivot ask the other day when they talked to Andre Johnson, they say, well, if you got a guy like Hunter lining up against you and he just come off the field as a receiver, how do you think his chances would be trying to cover an Andre Johnson? He didn't come out and say, not well. But he alluded to the fact, not well, because he thinks, like everybody else says, if a guy's going to play two-way in the NFL, he has to play a primary position and maybe have a package on the other side of the ball. I think that's what they're going to do. In my opinion of Hunter, I think he's a better corner than he is a receiver, but he's also better at receiver than you think he is. So whichever side he decides to play in the NFL is going to be effective, I think. But man-to-man coverage, he's going to have some learning pains or some growing pains there, and he's going to have to prove himself, because guess what? Anytime that you win a Heisman, they're going to come directly at you, and they're definitely coming after Mr. Hunter, who's supposed to be a once-in-a-generation type athlete. I think he's going to be fine. But Hunter wins the trophy by 214 points. I also saw he signed with Adidas. So if you're in Mr. Hunter's world, everything is great. So now the only thing that's left is, where is he going to go in the draft? Well, as I said, I'm here at the Jaguars game. They're playing the Jets. The Jets and the Jaguars are two of 8 teams in the NFL that have 3 wins. 3 wins or less. I think there's one team with two wins. I think the Raiders have 2. These guys are vowing to be the first pick in the NFL draft. So the question that these teams have to answer is, should we try to play the season out to win, or should we tank to try to get this top draft choice? That's been a question a lot of teams have had to answer, and this was actually the situation with New York and Jacksonville a few years ago. Well, Jacksonville ended up winning that sweepstakes, and that's how they got Trevor Lawrence. But I don't think the fans want to keep seeing your team get the number 1 draft every 2 or 3 years. But just like the college playoffs are heating up, getting ready to get started, they're drafting for the NFL playoffs, so are these teams jockeying for this number 1 pick in the draft. So right now it looks like it's going to be a Travis Hunter, or it may be Shedeur Sanders. All depends on how things shake out. And then, for what I understand, of course, Deion don't want his son to go into a bad situation, so he's going to be lobbying behind the scenes to try to determine where his son ends up. And with that, I think, like I've said all along, I think he was only coaching football on the higher level just to make sure his sons were taken care of. Now that his sons are straight, Hunter is a de facto son. He's straight. So what is next for Deion? I thought that Deion, once his sons were through, he was going to be through. He has said he's not going to coach in the NFL. I believe that. But as far as staying at Colorado, I don't believe that. So until he makes his mind up or comes to a definite decision about what he's going to do, he keeps saying the right things, but coaches always say the right thing. They never do what they say they're going to do. And I don't expect Deion to be in the same, to be any different from any other coaches who've done the same thing. All right. As you can see, it is halftime. It's close to halftime here at Jacksonville. And it's a strange phenomenon that takes place here. And I hadn't yet to figure it out. These people, they start to run out of the stadium before the game is over with, even if it's a hotly contested contest. Now, this is not a cheap endeavor. A lot of these people, they paying $400 or $500, depending on what their situation is, to come to these games. For instance, I do rideshare, and I picked up a guy the first week of the season, tells me he and his wife paid $400, just the 2 of them, just to come to the first game of the season. So if it's just 2 of them, if you're bringing your kids like a lot of these people do, what is the true cost that these people are paying on a daily basis? So my thing is traffic that much of a concern that you need to leave the stadium while the game is still hot? Why not get the full value of what you spent? Well, you're never really going to get the full value, but at least you have opportunity if you stay for the entire game, even if it's a blowout. Now, in addition to the cost of the game, you also have to deal with the cost of the concessions. Did you know that they have a tall beer in there for $20? You got to want a beer real bad to want to have a beer for $20. I don't want to drink that much. And I don't want to drink that bad. And I can't understand how somebody would want to drink that bad. Now, if it was water and it was 200 degrees out here, and that's the only water that was left, hey, then you pay whatever. But that's not the case. These people are making money hand over fist. These people are paying money like they have bottomless pockets, but yet they're running out of the stadium like it don't even matter. I guess to some it really doesn't matter. But the way it's shaping up is going to be coming down to who gets the first pick. There's 8 teams vying for it, all with around 3 losses. The Bears have 4 losses, and I think the Raiders have 2 losses, but everybody else is sitting on that 3-win line, and they're going to jockey it out to see who gets that first pick. Right now, they're talking Shedeur Sanders, they're talking Travis Hunter, but this guy running back at Boise State, depending on who gets that first pick, he might just be the first overall pick. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all shakes out. Now, college football playoffs kick off Friday. I think you have Notre Dame and Indiana. Hopefully we get a little bit of snow there. Not quite sure about that yet, but that'd be great if it was. I'm going to think, a lot of people will think that Notre Dame is going to whip Indiana. I got different thoughts on that. I think Indiana is ripe to knock off Notre Dame, and it's an in-state rival. Notre Dame has had the better of them, just like everybody else pretty much had the better of Indiana over the history. But this is a new day. That's a pretty good football team. And Notre Dame, if you thought Northern Illinois was tough, this team here has the opportunity to come into your stadium and knock you off. And me, I'm an underdog. I like teams that go on the road. So for Indiana to go into South Bend, that's going to be great. And I think they're going to end up knocking them off. But the attention, though, is being given to the Tennessee and Ohio State game. You know, everybody was not quite happy with this seeding. Some teams thought they should have been in the playoffs. Others thought that our seedings were wrong. We should have been this. The other team should have been that. As always, nobody's going to be completely happy with the scenario. Well, Tennessee is one of those teams that felt like they should have been hosting Ohio State instead of other way around. Never mind the fact that you didn't play for your conference championship, nor did Ohio State. You should ought to be glad that you made it to the playoffs, but they're complaining about the location. Well, it may not make a difference with the way that they're doing things. They're going to treat this game kind of like a neutral site game, in the sense that the teams on the road are going to get an introductory video into the other team's stadium and all of that crap, you know, like it's a bowl game or something like that. And I don't think that's right. If it's a true home game, then I'm not going to be doing an introductory video for the other team. So Tennessee's going to get that when they go to Ohio State. The other thing they're going to get, they're going to have a large percentage of the fans that are Tennessee fans. Why? Because Ohio State fans are selling it to them. Everybody else making money off this college sports, right? Why not the fans? Well, I'm hearing that a lot of the Buckeye fans are selling tickets to the volunteer fans, and they're buying them up. So right now it looks like 35% of the stadium is going to be Tennessee orange. I don't think it's going to matter. The best team is going to win, but Ohio State is not going to have that big crowd advantage like they would normally have during the regular season against anybody else in the Big Ten. So that'd be interesting to see how that shakes out. But the question is, how long is Ryan Day going to stay in Ohio State? Kind of a strange question, because the man hasn't lost but a handful of games in his time there. He's lost to Michigan now 4 years in a row. But everybody up there treats that game like it's the end of the world. He can beat everybody else in the world and lose to Michigan, and it's a problem. Well, who knows? But it doesn't make sense. The bottom line is to win, and if he's winning, why would you get rid of a winning coach like that? Kind of reminds me of what they have up there in Valdosta, Georgia. The unrealistic expectation that you should win a state championship every year. Yes, they have won a lot of state championships, but if a coach goes 14-1 and loses a state championship game, is that grounds for being fired? Or should you just be fortunate that you're one of the teams that made it that far? They don't look at it that way. If you don't beat certain teams, or you don't do beat certain teams or go a certain point and prove every year, then you're not going to be at Valdosta very long. And they stand by that. Every now and then they come up with a state championship. But is it realistic? Not very. But that's just the way it is. Down here in high school, they don't have the same fervor as they do in, say, Georgia or Texas. We have all athletes, but they don't pay the high school coaches anything down here. And now that you have NIL for the high school players that can get that, they're putting them in position where they make more money than the coach who's supposed to be guiding them. That's a system that's ripe to collapse. How long is that going to last? But what it does do, for sure, it sets the stage for the private schools to take all the way over. What do I mean by that? Well, most of those private schools are attended by people who are big in businesses in those towns. And if they want their school to win, they're going to put the money behind that, right? So with this NIL stuff, you go give all the better players NIL deals in the high schools to come to your particular school. Well, you're taking the talent away from the public schools, and now you're putting it into the private schools. So now that you have a talent drain going on in public school, you also have the financial drain in high schools. By that, I mean they're taking money, public school money, and allowing kids to spend that in private schools. That's reducing public schools. So you have a full-on assault to destroy public schools, from my understanding, and now they're using athletics to do that. Because you got to understand, if your family might not be making a whole lot of money, but if you're this big-time athlete, and these people are coming to try to give you some NIL money, you think dad's going to turn that down, or mom? No, not at all. Just look around. You have 30 other states besides Florida doing the same thing. So when you add the fact that the athletes can go to the private schools, get public dollars, now they can get NIL on top of that, the clock is ticking on public schools. A lot of people don't look at it that way, but that's just the way I see it. So might enjoy these public school programs while you can. As far as Jacksonville goes, they had one team here made it to the state championship. They got their head cracked last night. Part of that is because of a similar type thing that's going on all around the nation, like with the college football transfer portal. Everybody's going where somebody is hot. Miami Northwestern took Teddy Bridgewater and made him the coach. Now he's alma mater. That was his alma mater. So when he went to Northwestern, I found out that transfers from everywhere were trying to come to that school. It got to the point where he had to start turning people away. I can't take any more people. This guy was loaded. Now, Reigns is a pretty good football team, more than pretty good. They went to Miami or played in the championship game last night and ended up losing 41-0. They put a running clock on them. Is Reigns that bad? No. But when you can stockpile talent in one location like that and you can organize them to go out and play, then it don't make no difference who you play. And that is the problem with high schools. You can get away with that kind of stuff. Now, if these guys are that much better coaching, why aren't they coaching on a different level? Why aren't they going as high as they can go? Bridgewater has a name. He could have started out coaching college somewhere. But if he's going to keep getting this kind of talent, it's just going to get more and more out of control. These public schools don't stand a chance. And if you take a small rural school who has a guy that made it to the pros, he's doing the same thing. So you got a one-stop-like town who have to deal with whoever they can get. They might get the team of their lifetime. They'll make it all the way to the championship game, run against one of these renter teams, and get their head cracked. What are the kids learning from such of these situations? I haven't figured it out yet. But if you want to win that bad, great. Now, I don't think Bridgewater set out to probably wanted to take advantage of it like that, but he can't help because people want to come play for him. So I don't blame him for that. I blame the system in itself. And now that you got a guy like Bill Belichick that's going from the pros to college, he's going to have the similar opportunity to build North Carolina into a dynasty, just like what Bridgewater has done in his first year. So it's going to be interesting to see how well he does. Now, he's already changing things. He says he's going to run North Carolina like a pro team. Well, he started out by hiring Michael Lombardi as his GM. Whenever you ever heard of a GM in college football? Well, they got one now, and he's just the first. Once everybody else sees what's going on, they're going to start copycatting everything Belichick does. Just like Belichick is going to copy everything that Deion Sanders has done well. So everything that you know from the past about these sports, that's no good anymore. Walk-ons, that's a thing of the past, especially on the big levels. If you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, before schools, they had like 150 players in the program that might be on scholarship. Now they have to cut that down to 105 because instead of scholarship limits, they have roster limits now. So They're going to have to pay these players from their Housing Committee ruling. They're going to keep a pot of about $20 million up, and that pot is going to be used to pay the players. So that goes in addition to the NIL that's out there. So you're going to have guys walking around college making $6-7 million a year. Sanders at Colorado, he's making over $4. If he came back, he'd probably be making about 9 or 10, which he flirted with, the possibility of him coming back if he was to make that kind of money. I don't blame him if you're going to make that kind of money walking around college campus. But more power to him. If you can get that kind of money, I say take it. But that's the way college sports is going. The roster limits, no more walk-ons, college playoffs, all the things you wish you had when you were a younger player is now available to these kids. So I try to tell the athletes I deal with, look, man, you don't have to worry about trying to make it to the pros anymore because college is the new pros. You need to take advantage of that the best you can. If it was me, I'm going to do all my team activities, but then I'm going to do a morning workout on my own, and then when I finish with my team activities in the evening, I'm going to do another workout. So I'm going to work out at least 3 times a day to take advantage of all this money train that's taking place right now. But these young kids, the ones that aren't serious about it, that have a potential to do something, they're just more interested in wearing the gear and trying to look fly and talk fly and act like everybody else instead of putting in the work. And then when it comes down to getting these opportunities, they can't get them because they didn't take care of what they need to take care of earlier. So that's just my opinion on the situation. So, but I'm at the Jaguars game. They're taking on the Jets. They're at halftime, I believe, 10-7 is the last score I heard. Again, it's 8 teams vying for that number 1 spot. That number 1 spot in the try to get the number 1 spot in the draft. That's what they're all vying for. So the question is, do you tank the rest of the season to get that draft choice, or do you try to win to try to make your fans happy? What would you do? So if you see the stadium in the background there, you're starting to finally get the sun come out a little bit. Had a little rain in the air earlier. Again, these fans are strange to me. Walking around, coming out of the stadium after spending all that money. I want to get all my money's worth. That's what I'm going to do. But, I'm a little different from everybody else. So, anyway, they're taking on the Jets, and these are 2 of the 8 teams vying for that number 1 selection in the draft. Right now, Heisman Trophy winner is always popular. So you could have Travis Hunter, or you can get Shedeur Sanders. The Giants need a quarterback. A couple of other teams might need a quarterback. Anybody can use a wide receiver DB combo. You sign Hunter, you got the possibility of 2 players in 1. So the question is, do you pay 2 players in 1, or do you just pay for 1? That's an interesting question. I'm not sure what you're going to do with that. But we got leaving already, man. The halftime. How you doing, man? Halftime. Got a what? Fans are funny, man. Go ahead and harass a couple of them. She's working. She's not. She's part of the crew here. See what they got going on here. So, again, I'm just out here fooling around, waiting for my Fango Media setup. I'm going to spin the camera around a little bit. Not much action going on right now, but at the end of the third quarter, it's really going to pick up with fans coming out of the stadium. Like I say, it's kind of strange that these people will come to these games and just leave. It's too much money on the line for me. I don't like spending my money like that. Can't be like old Cam Newton. Love the dude to death, but sometimes he disappoints me greatly with some of the things he says. I don't want to get into that right now. I got some ideas how I'm going to take advantage of that, but Cam Newton's a very interesting character. Doing well with his podcast. I congratulate him on that, but I'm starting to worry about some of the ideas that's a part of that. But anyway, just out here fooling around at the Jaguars Stadium doing a little talking college football. Travis Hunter won the Heisman. That's the second Colorado player that's won the Heisman. I think it was Rashawn Salam. I want to say 94. He won it. So they've had athletes come through there. They just the last 10, 15 years before Sanders got there, they just fell all apart. even then they had teams that showed some spark. They just couldn't maintain it. But now you have to be savvy enough to manage the portal and be creative to get recruits to come play for you. The whole way of doing things, that's dead. All the way across the board, from high school, college, the pros, everything is different now. Even recruiting kids out of middle school now. I don't see what the point of that is, but that's what they do. Myself, I'm up for a head coaching position myself. And like Belichick, he's talking about running. Hey, how you doing, man?
I'm good.
Why you gotta leave me so early, man?
I know.
Why?
Serious.
Huh?
We're gonna win though.
You gonna win? Okay. Like Belichick, he says he's gonna run his program like a professional. He wants to build a pipeline to the NFL, which is already a pipeline. He's just gonna make it even more so with his connections. Me, I got a few connections myself, but me, I don't believe in all that going chasing behind some kid to come play with me. I'm old-fashioned in the sense that I want to coach and teach who I got in my program. It would be more satisfying to win that way as opposed to going to get an all-star team. Anybody can do that, and when you got an all-star team like that, it's all about advantages. And in the end, it makes the coach look better. So I don't want to be like everybody else. I want to win the old-fashioned way. Am I talking crazy? Maybe. But I am not going to kiss up to some kid to have him come play for me and destroy the discipline and the culture of whatever program I can build. Either you're going to do it my way or you can go somewhere else and play. Now, keep in mind, your reputation precedes you wherever you go. You get kicked out of one program, you don't want to do it right over here, they're going to find out about it over there. So they may not want to deal with you. But some of these teams, they win big, but inside that locker room, there's discourse, there's contention there, there's problems. I don't want to have that. So me being a teacher at heart, I want to teach the game, I want to play the game, I want to put it together, and I want to beat you the old-fashioned way without doing all this cheating that's going on. If some kid just happened to come to my school and play, you can bet he did that on his own. I am not recruiting anybody. I don't believe in that. I actually despise the whole thing because it's supposed to be about education, this high school stuff. But if you're not teaching them anything, if you just teach them, if you just come here and take advantage of that, and it just don't add up to me. Maybe I'm talking crazy, I don't know. But I just don't believe in it. I actually walked away from it for a couple of years because of what I see going on. And these associations that's in charge of managing all this stuff, they just seem to turn a blind eye to whatever is going on. And they respond by creating more divisions, more possible playoff matches, which produces what? More revenue. And all they care about is revenue. So when you have to go from, say, like some of these teams had to go, say, from Pensacola to the Orlando area in the first round, and we're talking 500 miles, and the majority of the money is going to get kicked back to the association. The guy that's making all the money, he's in his bed at 11 o'clock when your team is out on the road trying to get back home, and you still got 3-4 hours to go before you get there. That's just the state of college affairs. And maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I've been seeing. I've been watching it for 40 years now. Been a lot of changes in the last 20 years, and it's going to be even more heavy changes coming down in the future. But, that's just the way it is. It's time for me. I guess it's when they say when you get old, it's time to step aside so you can get some new ideas from the new blood. Well, the new blood, all they care about is self. And if you if you erode basic principles and discipline, then what do you have as a society? You're just going to transfer over to other avenues in life. And that's kind of what you're seeing now in the schools with the lack of discipline from the students and lack of respect and so on and so forth. So, I don't know. Well, they're back in action at the Jaguars. They're in the third quarter. The last score I had was 10-7, Jacksonville. And I'm starting to see more and more fans start to slip out of the stadium. Jets, why y'all leaving so early? Jet fans. They getting up out of here, the Jets fans. So. Chain smoking.
That's basketball, bro. That's basketball.
Basketball.
Give me football. Give me football.
Oh, man, this guy. Go ahead and harass me, some of these fans, man. All right. Let's tell you guys before, these NFL games and college games, when they have them, these like economies, hidden economies going on all over the place. Out this far, they don't generally come out and harass people hanging around like myself. So if you start to get inside those barriers there, then they're going to start coming out and talk to you, want to know what you're up to. But right now, I don't see anybody selling anything on the side. But what you're going to see are these guys on these carts riding around picking people up. And they make good money doing that. Some of them $1,000 a game, minimum. Over here you have food trucks. You guys like myself working for things like Fango Media and myself. And food vendors along with the food trucks. They have people selling. They have people. I don't know what just happened. They have people selling items on the side, T-shirts and things like that. So whatever you're looking for, you can pretty much find it at these games. All you gotta do is hang around in the right spot. And that's pretty much what I do. I try to hang out until it's time to flick my Fango Media stuff on. You'll get some fan interaction, fan comments about today's game. As I said before, today they're talking about who's gonna get that first pick. There are 4 games left in the season coming in today. And somebody just scored. Okay, Jaguars just kicked the field goal to go up 13-10. They're in the third quarter here. So, but again, these teams, four games left, they're fighting for that number 1 pick. The question that teams must answer is, do you go for that pick, or do you take the season, do you take the season to try to get the pick, or do you try to win the game? Jaguars in a position where they're going to play not only the Jets, they're also going to get the Titans in a couple weeks. So they have an opportunity to determine who's going to get that number 1 pick. A couple years ago, they was in the same situation with the Jets. They ended up getting the top pick, and that led them to Trevor Lawrence. He's out for the season, if you're not aware. Took a big shot last time they were here against the Texans. Laid him out, got a concussion, he hadn't played since. And they put him on IR. They brought in John, I forget his name, but he's also a native of Jacksonville. So not only do you have your high-dollar quarterback out for the rest of the season, you have 2 replacements, Mac Jones and John Wofford, I believe his name is. Both these guys are Jacksonville natives. How often do you see a professional teams with backup quarterbacks from the exact same town? It's kind of strange, but that's just the way it goes. Probably won't be that way next year. Doug Peterson, they're saying that he's probably going to be out. He's going to be out after this year. And you already fired Robert Saleh with the Jets. So you're looking at 2 new coaches, one in Jacksonville, one with the Jets. And there's just a couple that's going to be out the door. Probably a couple more. But don't cry for them. They're making millions of dollars in the buyout. Hey, why you guys leaving, man? It's still the third quarter, man. Oh, they had a saxophone. What's that? Got his Jaguar overalls on. Might be his Christmas present. I don't know.
Start getting closer to Christmas. They start putting out.
Like he's mad about something. I don't say nothing to him. It's one of those carts there. You make big money today. A whole bunch of cars out here like that. I hadn't seen anybody selling shirts yet or turnover chains. Again, this underground economy, people make big money down here, man. Started out today while I'm down here with the Jaguars talking about college football. But you know, Travis Hunter won the Heisman last night. 214 points over Jinty, the running back from Boise State. A lot of people felt that Jinty should have won that trophy, but he's never going to get over the height that Hunter has, and he plays in a lesser conference than what Hunter has, so he didn't really have much of a chance. But the fact that he got that many points, a lot of people believe in his talent, and if you see him play, you understand why. But just because you don't win the Heisman, that is not a precursor to what success you're going to have moving on to the next level. This guy's put his name out there, and he's going to be big. Kind of like LaDainian Tomlinson. He played at TCU when TCU wasn't on that high level. They were kind of like a Boise State at the time. And the guy had the speed and the talent just like this Jinty guy has, and he's going to do well. But like I say, I had a couple of people tell me that they don't think that Hunter should be the Heisman Trophy winner. There were other people who thought that Jinty should have won it, and they say that Hunter is good, and he's great that he plays all those plays effectively, but is he the best? Perhaps, but not as good as Jinty. He's not as good because he can't play defense zone as good as he can play man. Well, I take that back. He can't play man as well as he can play zone. And in the NFL, it's more of a man game in the NFL. And if he thinks he's going to play both sides of the ball, it's going to be even more difficult because what they're going to do is isolate him. They're going to keep on isolating him, and they're going to find some cracks in his game. And that's one thing about the NFL coaches that a lot of college coaches can't compare to. They break those tapes down and they find a flaw in your game. And once they find a flaw in your game, they're going to keep picking at it until you fix it. If you can't fix it, then you're not going to be in the league long. Since we're talking about the Jets, a few years back, they had a guy by the name of Calvin Pryor. Pryor was the #1 pick for the Jets that year. He was a strong safety. We actually played against Calvin Pryor my first year when I was coaching high school. From a place called Port St. Joe, and we went out there. And he went to Louisville, and then he wound up with the Jets. But he didn't last very long with the Jets because they found some flaws in what he was doing. It's the same flaws that grew to the point that pushed him from possibly going to, say, University of Florida to a school like Louisville. But lucky for him, he got Charlie Strong, and he played well enough that he was able to make it to the pros. But he also got exposed when he got to the pros. Hey, man, like you got a little bit of class there, man. Like you got a little class there with that Steelers on, man. How you survive all of these Jaguars, man?
You can't help but respect. Respect winners, man. You can't help but respect.
Hey, you right?
You know, there ain't no sense of hating.
You right, but what makes a classic guy want to come out here with the Jaguars, man?
Bro, I love my city,
Yeah.
but I'm a diehard Steelers fan. It ain't that personal. I'm pulling for them. I don't hate them. I want them to win every game, but black and gold come in time, so right.
Hey, you right. So well, look here now. They talking about Kansas City. I told them we're gonna put something on Kansas City.
Yep.
Yeah, but you got them in the playoffs too.
Yep.
So I ain't worried about Baltimore. We're with them.
Yeah, they think we ain't. I just hate that schedule they gave us, man. That wasn't right.
Well, that's the way it go though.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this though. What do you think about Reigns getting whooped last night by Miami, man?
That was ugly.
They made it though.
Came back to his alma mater.
Yeah, but that can happen right here. A lot of guys from the pros from right here Reigns.
Yep. That's a fact.
All right,
bro.
take it easy. Yeah, they put something on Reigns last night. You got a stacked deck. It's hard to beat a stacked deck team in high school. I'm not saying they did anything illegal, but they did have a transfer issue right before the playoffs start, where one guy was supposed to have played too many semesters. If that's the case, they're going to take that championship away from Northwestern. But I was told it was resolved. I hadn't heard that yet, so I'm going to go back and look that up. I don't mind you winning the championship. Just do it the right way, man. Follow the rules. Whatever rules you got that you can enforce, at least follow those. So if they got that ineligible player, they're going to take that championship away from them. Will Reigns get it? No, they just vacate the champion. That's all. That's happened several times over the years, where a team won the championship and they come back later on and they take it from them. But Bridgewater, that's the idea behind high school. They like to take people who made it to a bigger level and they will hire them for the effect that what you have here with Bridgewater. They do that on the college level too, but it don't always translate to instant success. So that's a great job by Bridgewater managing all that talent excess he has. And I'm not sure about the dynamics of Northwestern now, but I know that the Hispanic population is taking over a lot of the areas over there on the northwest side of Miami. And I don't know how that's affecting the school zonings now, but things are a whole lot different now from where they used to be, say, 15 years ago. And I don't know how much longer Northwestern is going to exist under the current setup. I heard a guy telling me today that he thinks that the new school they're building for Jacksonville Ribault, which is a mile away from Raines, they think they're going to try to combine the schools Raines and Ribault and change the name of the new Ribault school they're building to something else, like a Stanton. I don't see that happening, because Raines and Ribault, they got that long history going up against each other in neighborhood battles. I don't ever see that happening. But if they did, that would cause some major uproar right here in Jacksonville, and you will hear about that one nationally. From what I understand, Raines Alumni Association is one of the biggest in the nation, and I just don't ever see that that's going to happen to them. But that's something that I need to research myself, because that's something I hadn't even thought about. But when you bring a guy with the pro experience, they become high school coaches. Pretty much when you got a guy that graduated from college and he played high school, they generally become high school coaches. That's not so much so these days, because, like I said, the money is not that great. Unless you go to, say, Georgia, where you can make big money. You can't make big money down here in Florida unless it's under the table or you're doing something you're not supposed to be doing. What's the supplement around here is what? For a high school coach, less than $3,500. Unless you're at a private school, then you don't know what they're making. As opposed to the highest coach up in Georgia, he's making about $200,000 to coach high school football, and he might not have but one class, if that. So it all depends on where you are and your situation. That makes your high school experience unique. But here in Florida, in Jacksonville, if you're going to coach high school football, you're probably going to be in the classroom. Your AD, you're going to be in the classroom, and you're going to earn that little bit of money you do get. But there's nothing like what they're getting out there in Texas and California and right across the line in Georgia. That's why people are going to Georgia, so they can get paid. They get paid over the summer. You can get up to 50 days extra just for working over the summer. You can't get that here in Florida. So if you're a 12-month employee in Georgia and you're getting 50 days extra to work football plus the supplement, oh, you're doing well. You gotta work like a dog down here in Jacksonville to get that. So you gotta really love it, but it's great getting into it. But a lot of the old heads, they're walking away from it because they can find something else to do with their time. And when you get into your 50s, what you're trying to do is set yourself up for the future. And maybe you come back to it after you retire, but it's not doing you much good to make $2,000 a season when you can go do something else. And for that same time frame, make 10. So how important is it to you is the question. So, in short, if you're doing it in Florida, you're not generally doing it for the money. You're doing it because that's what you want to do. So that's why some coaches say, well, if I got to do this and I'm not making that much money, I might as well try to maximize this to the best I can. And if we win enough games, I get enough people to follow me, then maybe I can get me a higher paying job somewhere. And I think that's what the end goal is. And that's why they get people to go out and try to steer kids their way and all the other unscrupulous things they do behind the scenes. Me, like I say, I want to do that. I'm going to do the best I can with what I got. And if it ain't good enough, so be it. They're going to learn some lessons fully with me. And cheating or taking unfair advantages won't be one of them. All right, I'm still here with the Jets and the Jaguars. Jaguars went up 13-10. The Jets have the ball right now. They're trying to move the ball a little bit. See a Aaron Rodgers fan there. See, got the wrong color jersey on, but hey, when you pay $100 for a jersey, you're going to wear it, right? That's probably what she's saying. Right. Not a whole lot going on right now, but fans start matriculating out of the stadium probably in about another 20 minutes or so. and it's going to be great. I get harassed them when I talk to them with Fango Media. They tell you all kind of good stuff about how they feel about their team, who should get fired, who should be demoted, who should be promoted, all the different things that go with the world of a fan. A lot of times they be dead on, but a lot of times you wonder where they're coming from. I have no idea. But if you're just tuning in, this is Sports for Real with Coach Hall. I appreciate it if you like or subscribe. That would be great. Right now, what I'm doing, I'm just waiting on my opportunity to interview the fans when they come out of the game. And I just wanted to come on a few minutes to talk about college football and everything else that's going on in the sports world. Looking forward to next week when the college football playoffs kick off, especially with Ohio State and Tennessee. That one should be interesting. But Notre Dame, Indiana, Clemson, Texas, Penn State, SMU, those all stand to be pretty good games. And you're going to get your money's worth out of that. So I'm looking forward to those particular actions. And it's going to heat up even more after that when you start talking about those New Year's Day games. Georgia, they're sitting back waiting. Ohio State, going to get Ohio State. Tennessee going to get Oregon. And all the other bowl games are going to be taking place in the interim. So right here you have the first round sweepstakes between the Jets and the Jaguars. Yeah, 2 of 8 teams that are probably going to get that number one draft choice. And that's going to play itself out, especially if Jacksonville has something to say about that, because they got the Jets today and they're going to have the Titans in 2 weeks. And it's going to come down to tiebreakers. Jacksonville won that a couple years ago, and that's how they ended up with Trevor Lawrence. You don't want to get into the habit of drafting number one all the time, but if that's what it is, that's what it is. Then get a good number one pick. Trevor Lawrence come back the way he was. If he come back healthy and come back strong, and stop being erratic and worry about how much money he makes and trying to live up to his pay, then they have the opportunity to do something. But one thing I noticed about the Jaguars, last week, they started throwing the ball to their top pick, Brian Thomas. And that is the focus for the Jets, is trying to stop Thomas. And they're going to have to stop Thomas if they want to beat the Jaguars. How you doing, man? Are you guys trying to win, or are you trying to get that top draft choice? What you trying to do, man?
See, we're trying to figure out who can get the worst pick.
Lions. That's Marty Lyons, 93. That's an old jersey. Marty Lyons played with Joe Klecko and Gastineau back in the 80s. You can see that color is a little bit off. Yeah, that's a throwback jersey he got. Yeah, ladies trying to beat the traffic. It kind of remind me of HBCU fans. They'll pack the house at the beginning of the game, and then when the halftime show is over with, the bands perform, they'll clear out. They don't care nothing about football. They just come to see the band. Well, which is fine, because that's the sideline activity. You know, it's part of the package. You can see the band, you see some football. But if you're really into football, you don't care nothing about the band. That's just something to do. But I would say this: after witnessing HBCU bands, you don't want to go back and see some band that's not worth the salt. They're just a waste of time. So high school bands, which they're going away. My school doesn't have a high school band. Figure that out. And it's kind of strange the way things are nowadays. It's just a big change in the way things are progressing. How you doing, man? Jets just scored a touchdown to take the lead. They are up 16-13 now. Devontae Adams, who came from the Raiders, used to play with Rodgers when they were at Green Bay. He went to the Raiders, and that didn't work out too well. He wanted to get out of there and go play with Rodgers. Got his wish. He just scored a touchdown. Mac Jones, he hadn't thrown any touchdown passes in all his starts with the Jaguars until today. He finally got one today. All right. So again, these guys are fighting for that top draft choice. And the question is, do you try to lose on purpose? Or do you try to do the best you can all the time? It's a question that these people have to answer. is a question they must answer. Only reviewing the last play, so it might not be a touchdown. So hold tight on that touchdown the Jets just scored. Get my hours in. I seem to be getting in the comments today. Somebody say something to me. Say hello or something. Do you think Travis Hunter should have won that Heisman? Do you agree or disagree? A lot of the experts say he deserves it. But you know he's going to be a prime target when they see him out there next year in the NFL when they come in to see him. He's going to have to show it. But like I was telling you about old Calvin Pryor, they exposed him. And after that, he started bouncing around the league. And they signed him, and he didn't stay very long. He came down here in Jacksonville. Might have stayed here a week or two, they got rid of him. That's the last time I heard of him. I don't know where he is now. Might be back home coaching high school football. But that's the perils of pro sports. You get signed to a high deal contract, I suggest you invest that. Live off the investment. A lot of these guys, they don't do that. If you follow Cam Newton, and when you get to talking about how he used to go into exotic clubs and explain to you his mental process, then you understand exactly what I'm saying. Okay, they took the touchdown from the Jets. They say he's short of the goal line. So now it's going to be... Okay, I don't know where the ball is, but the play was short of the goal line. So the Jets don't have the touchdown. Expect this game to go to the wire. 2, 3, and 10 teams. That's about par for the course. Jaguars going to get the Titans here in 2 weeks to close the home season out. And that'll go a long way to determine who gets the first draft choice. I think the Jets are going to score, though. You get that close, you ought to score as a professional football team. But these guys, they don't care. They just want to get paid, and they get paid on Tuesday. And when the season over with, they have the U-Hauls backed up. And by Tuesday afternoon, those guys clear out. They're gone. Jags. All right, Jets on the goal line look like. I can see the board up there, but I can't quite make it out. Maybe you can. All right. This time Devontae Adams scores, and looks like it's going to count. He scored the first time, they took it from him. And that will give the Jets a 16-13 lead. Gonna come down to the end, as all Jaguars do. They've lost most of their games by 5 points or less. They're very competitive. They just, something about them, they just couldn't quite get over the hump, you know. So if they're competitive, and they bring back okay, 17-13 Jets. Sound like that's what he said. But if the Jaguars, they're competitive this year. They tear it all down next year to get all their pieces back. They stand a chance to do a whole lot better than what they did last year. Optimism is always high at the beginning of the season, and they'll definitely have it here. To get Lawrence back, if he can play better than what he's played lately, then they got a shot. But that's pro football. Whether he plays well or not, it's going to be. He's still going to get paid, and he signed him a $250 million contract extension, so does he really give a damn if they get over the hump or not? I don't think so. And the NBA players are showing you that. With these record deals that they get, they don't care. So it's just a matter of, getting yourself paid and playing the part, acting like that you're trying to, but do you really have to do that? So, I don't know. Billy Joe. I think he said there was 12 minutes left in the third quarter. I'm not going to stick that long. I'm going to hang around a few more minutes to see if something happens. But I've been talking today about Travis Hunter winning the Heisman. I think he's worthy, but he's going to have a big target on his back when he goes to the pros. I think he's going to be not a wide receiver, but a corner with some packages for a wide receiver. And he's not going to be a primary receiver. I think his strong suit is on the defensive side of the ball. But whichever he put him, he's definitely going to be an impact, and somebody going to have to keep an eye on because he can beat you. He's that good. So, well, congratulations on him for winning that Heisman, but I think that JT had a very strong case for being a Heisman winner. I think his problem was the fact that he played for Boise State. And he played for a bigger school, putting up those kind of numbers, then that Heisman would have been in the bag. Didn't matter how many plays that Travis Hunter plays. So he got that extraordinary conditioning, and some people are just like that. What they say at track, he has no lungs. That means he can run hard. He can run hard. So, run hard for a very long period of time. That is Travis Hunter. So, I don't know what's going on here. Bill Belichick, keep an eye on him. North Carolina is making moves. I haven't seen any waves that he's making in the transfer portal so far. I did see that they have a 4-star recruit that signed with Tennessee from North Carolina, and he came out and said, "Well, no, I'm not going to change my decision. I'm going to be with the Vols all the way." That lets you know. That lets you know that. That lets you know. He's out here trying to do the same kind of thing I'm doing. He's working with the news station, but they can't keep up with me. So I got to get away from him. Because if they see news for Jax, they may not come forward with Fango Media because they want to be on local TV, but they don't realize I'm worldwide. You know, telling who might look me up. Why you leaving early, man? Huh? You don't want to talk to me. Act like you know somebody. But again, this has been Sports for Real. Got to save my battery. I'm running low on my battery here, so I got to make sure I'm all lined up for my little afternoon adventure here with Fango Media. It's going to be interesting. And I think that this first round pick bowl between the Jets and the Jaguars going to go down to the wire. But I'm going to talk to the fans about how they feel about these draft choices. And maybe I'll slip in a couple Heisman Trophy comments. And now that Bill Belichick is off the table, he can't end up in Jacksonville now. And he can't end up here with the Jets again. So who do you think is going to be the next coach here in Jacksonville if Peterson does get the axe? So that's just the way it appears to be going. That you're going to have a new head coach here in Jacksonville. And we know for sure they're going to have a new head coach in New York. Their coach got fired 2 months ago. So a lot of opportunities moving forward in the NFL and the college. And I'll be right here to report on it as it breaks. So until the next time, this has been Sports for Real. And if there's time, I slip in after the game to get some post-game commentary from people as they leave the stadium. So I'll catch you guys on the other side. Until then, this is Sports for Real. I'm out.